All right,
What's
guys.
up, we're back.
Yes, we're doing another show for you, and the topic is
Being submissive to your husbands. We're continuing the last show.
or the other part of it is, can a husband be submissive to his wife as well? Is it the same? Well, before we get into it, we gotta introduce something. So we introduced wine last time, so this time we're gonna introduce some candy. This is C's Candies, and it is C's, like SEE apostrophe S, C's Candies, and they have a variety of different candies. C's is the company that makes a variety of different candies. And so I chose the almond clusters because I love almonds, and so it's milk chocolate almonds.
You love nuts?
I do. Well, not all nuts, because I don't like those cashews that you've eaten.
Oh yeah, I like.
But yeah, she likes some white nuts, but I like the brown ones. But anyway, I have a white husband. I didn't say you did.
I have a caramel nut at home. Thank you very much.
I'm just talking about the cashews. What are you talking about? What? We were talking about cashews and almonds.
You were not. She was not. You all heard it.
I said almonds and cashews.
Carry on.
Okay.
I'm ready to try it. I want it.
So, milk chocolate almonds. Let's try it before we get into a different conversation, I guess. Go ahead and pick one.
He does not have white nuts. He is not white.
I didn't say that. Aren't cashews like whitish? They are, aren't they? Because almonds have a brown coating on the outside. Like cashews. I don't like cashews.
Disrespectful. So rude. So disrespectful.
No, I'm dead serious. The cashews are white, aren't they? They're like really, really light. Oh my goodness. You see, she took it to a whole nother level.
I'm doing this for her.
Eat your brown nuts, okay? These are brown.
What is that now?
So like I said, C's is a candy maker. They have all different varieties. They have some that are like caramel filled.
If you have a nut allergy, I'm sorry, because these are fucking delicious.
If you have a nut allergy, okay. Well,
these are good.
These are good. So now that we finish our nuts, goodness,
I'm just drinking on the wine.
So,
prepare Nene. It's delicious. Thanks, Dina. It's delicious. You want some more?
I still have Oh. Okay, thanks. So, the topic for today, we got on this topic because in our last show, we were doing a review of Love and Marriage DC. And in that review, we were talking about how Monique felt a little bit disrespected by her husband when he told her to hush because she wouldn't allow him to speak. And Heavenly, who also kind of did like an after show review on the nightcap, said that she believes in submissiveness and she felt like Monique should have hushed and been submissive to her husband.
100% agree.
My question was, does a husband also have to be submissive to the wife, or is it just one way?
So this is the thing, right? So just like I said in the last show, if you all didn't see the last show, that when my husband and I went through premarital counseling, that's when the whole submissive thing really kind of hit me. Where my light bulb went off. Light bulb moment is what they call it, right? Where the woman was saying that, we are to be submissive to our husbands. And, my initial reaction was, I'm not doing that shit. I come from this bloodline is not, this is.
The women?
This bloodline that we share, submissive is not on the menu. So
At least for the older generation. Let's put it that way. For the older generation.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm submissive.
Yeah, we've changed, right?
I think so. I don't know. We'll ask our husbands next time we join. We'll ask. I think so. You think so? I think so.
I think so. But you know, if we ask them, they might not say, because they probably say we're not submissive enough. Right?
It ain't never going to be enough.
It's not, right?
Yeah. It ain't never going to be enough.
But
anyway, we were in this class. You know, it was awesome, by the way. Everybody, I do promote premarital counseling, not just because I'm a therapist, but just because. If you're not asking the questions that you need to ask, it'll help you. It'll make you. So anyway, we talked about submissiveness, and the young lady said that was teaching the class, said that you do not pick a mate that you don't feel safe enough, that you don't love enough to be able to be submissive. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that whole thing that I also talk about, which is when you are talking about your life mate, mm-hmm. you have to assume the best when they make a decision. Okay. Not assume the worst.
Assume that they have the best intention.
Yes, correct.
When they make a decision.
Yes.
Not that they have the
worst. And when they do something, although it mm-hmm. might appear to be one thing, you have to know. Mm-hmm.
It was for your own good.
It's for your own good.
Yeah, you might not agree with it, but there was a reason. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Not a reason to hurt you, mm-hmm. but a reason to help you. Even if you don't agree with it.
Chocolate went
you
down.
Okay?
Went down the wrong pipe. Mm-hmm. Those nuts. Go ahead.
Nuts are motherfucker, aren't they? Sometimes they go down the right way, sometimes they don't.
Go ahead.
That's exactly what we're talking about. So you don't submit, you don't submit to someone that you don't feel safe with. Uh-huh. You don't submit to someone that hasn't earned that level of safety. Okay? And so one thing that I want everybody to walk away with, if you don't walk away with nothing today, the definition of trust. Uh-huh. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because you have to trust someone before you can feel safe with them. Right? Mm-hmm. So my definition of trust that I offer to all. Okay. Is that when a person's words mm-hmm. match their actions over time, mm-hmm. you can trust them. Okay. That is my definition of trust. Okay. So that means you can't just marry somebody you knew 6 months. Because that time.
Oh, 6 months is not enough time.
No. We got to know, girl, because when people meet you, mm-hmm. they will say all the things that you want mm-hmm. to hear. But you have to stick around to see.
You're meeting the representative.
Exactly.
You need to meet
and you don't see that shit in
real
6
person,
months.
Right?
You don't see it in 6 months. Okay. You don't.
How long do you see it?
Over a year.
Okay.
Over 365 days. Talk to me.
All right.
Until
so
then,
366. Then you good. So what's the definition?
Damn.
I mean, you said over 365.
Over a year. I don't believe. I mean, maybe a master manipulator can do it for that long of a time. Because that would take some manipulation.
Oh, okay.
Right? To say something and never do it for a whole year. That's going to take some lying and deceiving because the person's going to be asking, where is this? Okay. Right? And so if you dodging it still after a year, you have to be a master manipulator. Okay. I mean, for real.
And then you still up a creek. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're still fucked, but... you're probably with like somewhat of a psychopath at that point.
Okay. So what's your definition of submissiveness?
To trust.
Okay.
That they have your best interests at heart with any and all things. Okay. That's what I think it is.
Okay. So then the question is it only a woman being submissive to the husband? No. Or does it go both ways?
It should go both ways.
Okay. So I thought we were going to be different on that. That's why I was waiting to see what you were going to say.
It should go both ways because if I am assuming that of you, mm-hmm. I mean, you too have to assume that of me.
Correct. Yes. And so that's what I believe as well.
So that's what makes it easy, right?
Because you're ping-ponging.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do it, sometimes they do it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And you know how, like, some couples will go out and spend thousands of dollars without the other one knowing. Mm-hmm. Like, mm-hmm. my husband would never do that. Mm-hmm. Because he values my opinion, mm-hmm. That much.
He values his life too, right?
He values that too. But he also values my opinion to even call and say, hey, boo, I'm about to spend this amount of money. Do you think this is worth it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he wants to know, like, what do I think before he does this grand, gesture or decision, that he's making. So, and vice versa. I wouldn't feel right making a huge decision that will affect both of our lives without talking to him. Like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But people do it all the time.
So I agree. I feel the same way. I feel like it's not just a wife who submits to her husband, but I feel like that is the only side that is presented when you're talking about being submissive.
That is true.
It's always just the wife, because even when you went to counseling, did they even mention about the husband being submissive? Or
no, because he is the head of the household,
and
so, which my husband is the head of the household. It's just that the head needs the neck, and he knows that. Because I think that's the thing. So all of it is a need, right? You need the head and you need the neck, right? But sometimes they don't know that about each other. They don't know that they need each other. And I think that's the barrier and the breakdown.
So why do you think that in the premarital counseling, they don't discuss the fact that it does go both ways? Do you feel like it's because of the term submissive has a connotation where it is only the woman? Like,
well, it is.
But no, you just said it goes both ways.
I mean, yes, as it's presented. But so that part of the premarital counseling was all female. At that point, they took the men to the men's side, or whatever you call it, and they talked about the roles and responsibilities of being the head.
Okay.
And one of them being listening to your partner.
Okay. So they use a different term.
Exactly. As a role and responsibility, like your responsibility as the head, because there has to be one person that has the ultimate decision.
Okay.
It cannot be 100% diplomatic and 50%
because you're not always going to agree.
You're not always going to agree. There always has to be a tiebreaker. And unless you're having a menage a trois or you're in a polygamous relationship, there's no tiebreaker. There's no tiebreaker, right? In a monogamous relationship. Yeah. It's just you and him, or her and her, or him and him. But, whatever that is, it has to be a tiebreaker. So I think that's the reason for the language. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
To establish.
So you're saying that because the man is the head of the household, he therefore has the tie-breaking decision.
Yes.
And therefore that's why they say that the woman is submissive to him.
Correct. 100%.
Okay.
I think that's the way God set this shit up. Real talk.
But
that's why he was made first, and then he was like, oh, boom, you need a mate. You need a partner. Right? Oh, okay, boom. Go ahead, go to sleep. Let me go ahead and get you. Let me go sit
but to play devil's advocate.
Well, we ain't doing no devil shit up in here. Fuck that. I rebuke you. No, ma'am.
All right, to look at it on two different ways, two different sides of the story.
Okay, all right, different perspective.
Okay.
Sure.
Have you had a decision that had to be made in your household where you and your husband didn't agree, but your option was the one that went with?
100%. Yes, it has happened multiple times.
Okay.
But that's because as the leader, he respected and valued my opinion.
Correct.
Yes. So it goes, it's a balance. It's a balance.
That's why I say it's both ways.
Right, it is.
So
they just label it differently because somebody has to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, but so that's my point. Because I truly feel like a lot of times when this discussion is had, it's only presented on the side of the woman has to be submissive to the man. There is no other way of presenting it. That's the end all to be all. The woman has to be submissive to the man. It doesn't mention the man.
What his leadership role is.
And
what that looks like.
Including the fact that he also is listening to his woman.
Agreed.
Who is turning or bending the neck, or the head, or moving the head.
Agree. Well,
he has to listen.
Feel, like, they need that fluff, so they need a different title.
And so it's like you have to word it different, but at the same time, it is required to have a successful relationship. Both people have to give and take. And being submissive, that's, I guess, my kind of perspective of the definition of submissive is that you have to give and take. You're not always going to get your way. And so there is going to be some give and take. And so there are going to be times where you have to give into things that you may not necessarily agree with or necessarily wanted to go that direction at this time. Whereas they probably will have to do the same thing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the world views it as it's only the woman who's being submissive.
Well, they only talk about the submissive piece. They don't talk about the leadership and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so
because
that's
a good
why
leader,
a lot of relationships don't last.
Well, it depends. It depends on so many variables. It depends.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on their environment. It depends on their role model.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on their their ideals. It depends on their fantasy. Because, what people don't like to talk about is the fantasies that we have in our head. That's what kind of pisses us off on a day-to-day basis. That shit didn't go our way.
Mm-hmm.
And our way is really our fantasy, right? But anyway, that's a whole other thing. However, we all have that ideal,
mm-hmm.
right? Of like what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the submissive part is what is discussed most. The
mm-hmm.
leadership part is not what's discussed mm-hmm. most. And unless you get that part, how are you going to be a good leader?
Mm-hmm. Because even, like, for instance, Heavenly, who's on Married to Medicine, she's one who's a definite proponent of being submissive to her husband and that all women should be submissive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in that same notion, she'll talk about all the things that she does for her husband. She might rub his feet and all. But your husband should rub your feet too, right?
Yeah.
Your husband should make sure that he's giving you the same pleasure or the same needs, the same comfort, the same.
Right, but that's a good leader, right? Like a good leader gets down in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't just give the orders.
Right.
Actually fills the orders sometimes.
Right. Like gets down in the trenches with you. Like, or does not see, this hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a team.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you're the leader of the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I'm here and you're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're a team, but I'm a tiebreaker. But I value that.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
The leader has to value that privilege and really that burden of being the tiebreaker. Because, listen here, there's been plenty of times where there is a lot of pressure on that leader to make those tough decisions.
Because then if your decision doesn't give
wrong,
you the outcome
everybody's
that you
looking at you like you fucked up. You fucked up. That was under your leadership. Mm-hmm. And so there's a burden that comes with that. No, but there's a burden that comes with it. So everybody only sees like the burden with being submissive. Mm-hmm. But there's also a burden with being a leader. Mm-hmm. A good leader, that is. Mm-hmm. Not a tyrant.
Yes.
Right?
A dominator, a dictator.
And I think that a lot of women that would strongly disagree really have the experience of being with a tyrant.
Or they also don't fully understand what
they've
it means.
Seen a tyrant, experienced a tyrant, or their fantasy is a tyrant.
Or I don't think they fully understand the submissive role and what it means to be in a relationship as well, right? Because, I mean, and like you said, if also maybe they are picking the wrong partners.
I mean, you can only go on experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been there. We've been in relationships that you look back and be like, I dealt with that shit. What the fuck was wrong with me? Mm-hmm. What was wrong with me? And you question yourself, right? You're like, what in the world? I can't believe I dealt with that. Mm-hmm. That just shows growth, right? You live and you learn one of those life lessons. You learn a lesson and you keep it moving. The problem is when you keep getting stuck and you keep learning the same damn lesson.
Yeah.
Right? So as long as you learn the lesson, you keep it moving, you're good to go.
And so that's why sometimes you need something that's different, right? You don't always go back to what you're used to, or because then you're going to continue to get the same outcome. Yeah. And sometimes the outcome is being by yourself.
But that's what the environment.
And some people are okay with that. So it's not a big issue if you're okay with that. But if that's not your goal, if your goal is to be married, if your goal is to be in a successful relationship,
or just to have a successful relationship, whether you want to get married or not.
Just a successful relationship.
But so that's the question. So
now we're going to a different topic. Okay, go ahead. Now, some people say, well, just because we have a certificate, things don't change, or this and that. You know, we're married one day and it's still the same as it was before. So, you know, I mean, for some people, maybe it does feel the same. For me, though, when I got married, I felt different. I don't know. I felt different. You didn't feel different?
I felt different. I did feel different.
I mean, even though we had been with our spouses
Yeah.
as girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, or whatever for so long,
Yeah.
it still felt different
It did
after
feel
you got
different.
married.
It did.
You
It
know, whether or not your routines changed or anything like that. No, my routine didn't really particularly change. You know, but I still felt different.
I did.
I felt number one more significant. Right?
Well, not only that, I mean, you have to go through a whole lot of shit, right, ladies? Mm-hmm. Now, this is another thing that the ladies have to go through. The men do not have to go through, but changing your name on every fucking thing is a process. Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta get your social change.
But I was proud. I was happy.
License change, your credit cards, and all that shit.
And I didn't wait too long.
Girl, we did it. We went to when we came back from our honeymoon. We still had a couple of days, you know, because when I go on a vacation, I need a vacation from the vacation, so I always have a day or two after the vacation. You know, when we're back home, and we took those days. We went to the bank. That next day, we went to the bank, got all that shit straightened out. Yeah. I mean, immediately. Like, it was not, I went to Social Security office.
But I was happy. I was excited to do those things.
I mean, I was. But it's still like, it's still some shit, they don't have to do that shit at all.
Yeah, no, they don't have to do it. But I say that to say, I didn't feel like it was a burden. Like, I was excited to do that. I was happy. Yeah. Like, I couldn't wait to get back and go to those places and do it and then finally have that. You know? I was. You were.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I was excited. But I am a very type A. So
she was just looking at a task.
Yeah, it added to my to-do list. I mean, but I was excited. I was excited to just get married. You know what I mean? To marry somebody that I actually liked.
Yeah.
Because even though that shit sounds funny, how many women are out here married to men they don't like? Those are all the marriages that didn't survive the pandemic. Because you had to like that motherfucker to be trapped in a house that long. And that's when you realize I like you or I fucking don't.
Yeah, but
you know, we had fun.
There's some other things.
We had fun.
You might like them, but
we
there's
had fun.
Other stressors that break up a relationship as well.
Listen here.
No, because, for instance, the pandemic itself, even if you have good relationships that survive, you still had a lot of people who went through mental issues outside of that. So that's why I said that in itself.
But you're there with
your. Doesn't mean that you didn't like them.
But your partners, they help you get through.
Yeah, that's true. They're
there. You know, you're trapped in a house.
With mental health. I mean, a partner is not the only thing that can be successful at getting you through it.
You might need medication.
Yeah.
And that's okay too, but that support means a lot.
Yeah.
So having that support, if that support is there, then that helps the medication. It's not, medication is, you know, it's not, of course, that's just one
We're not promoting, you know, but we're just saying.
That's one small aspect of mental health treatment, right? You have the medication, you have the therapy aspect, and you have the support.
Yeah.
Right? And so that support system matters.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that I don't think that it's just because someone doesn't like them. Marriages break up for other reasons. You don't watch this other show. I wish you watched this other show, 90 Day Fiance.
Did you forget the trust definition? You have to watch their words, match their actions over time, and time equals over 365 days. That is my formula. Don't nobody try to steal that shit, but it is.
But either way, the
copyright me.
What was the show called? I just said it. I don't remember.
90 Day Fiance. 90 days is nowhere near 365.
Well, 90 Day Fiance, it was this couple on there, Sinjin and Tanya, I think, or Tanya. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But anyway, Sinjin and Tanya, they were married, and they loved each other. Even when they separated, they loved each other and liked each other.
Okay.
But the issue was they could not they could not get fulfillment for what their individual goals were. So I think Tanya's individual goal was to quickly start a family. Whereas
she want to have babies.
Yeah, whereas Sinjin ultimately wants to have a family, but didn't want to have it in the time frame that Tanya wanted to have it. And so that could go along with what you're saying in a way in regards to the 365 days or whatever, right? Because if you talked about that ahead of time, and but they did talk about it ahead of time. But the issue was with babies, you're not matching that early, right? So you can't really see,
But wait a minute, if I like you, I'm willing to compromise and do a little bit of waiting and not wait so long.
Well,
that's
she did.
Like, if I like
and that's what she did.
Right, but if I like you, I'm willing to make it work.
And
I'm saying there's a lot of people that marry someone that they realize they didn't fucking like.
Yes. But what
I'm saying is, you're an asshole. I don't like you.
She liked him, so she was willing to wait. But then it came to a point where she was waiting too long.
So she didn't set the boundary of her deal breaker time.
I don't know that initially they put a deadline on it, but she knew.
Counseling, guys.
But I bring that up to say that they loved each other, and probably still to this day still love each other. But it did not work out, and they ended up getting divorced. So it's not it. So I'm just saying it. Even liking someone, oh yes, that's definitely something that you have to have. But that's not the only thing that will,
I don't know. When you like someone, when you like actually that human being, their character.
You're saying that you're willing to do anything.
You are willing to work on it, and
they did work on it though.
And not listen.
They did. They worked on it for past a year. They did. I'm talking about even after they had the 90 days and they got married. So they had still been married for over a year.
So we're comparing a lifetime of marriage to a year of a rocky road.
Well, I don't know how long they've been together total, but I'm just saying it wasn't that they got married in 90 days and then got divorced within the next 90 days.
My in-laws will be celebrating their 50th year wedding anniversary this August. 50 years.
But that's also because of different generation.
I get that. But
it's different generation.
It's still I get it's the generation, but it's still like you gotta know that out of 50 years, you're gonna have more than a fucking year of a rocky time.
Well, yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So you gotta fight through that shit. You can't just give up. The reward is not in the end result. The reward is in the journey.
She's preaching now. She's trying to get y'all to get married.
I'm just saying it's in the journey. Goggins. I learned that from Goggins. I learned that from David Goggins.
Okay.
That the dream is in the journey, not in the result.
Okay.
Like we are living the dream right now, right? We were women that wanted to get married and have children and have families. And
it's hard.
Running shit and it's hard and it's stressful, we're living our dreams of what we wanted to, right?
Yes.
And so we're living the dream.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to end on today. Go live your dreams, guys. Go live your dreams. Enjoy it. Enjoy the journey.
And if you want that certificate, get that certificate. If he doesn't want it, maybe he's not the one for you.
Yeah, because somebody that likes you wants you to be there for them when they can't speak for themselves.
Okay, that's my dog giving me the sign that it's time. That's
Peace,
why the
guys.
light's
Go live your dreams.
We'll see you next time. Keep on running it.
Thanks for joining. Subscribe and share.